and welcome to another edition of Filmnut. I am your host, Jeff Schubert. Glad you can join us for our first episode in our 5th season. Yes, we are back. We are the show that talks about the making, marketing, and distribution of film, television, and new media. You know, when you break down what it takes to put a project together in any medium, of course, there's the creative side, acting, writing, directing. There's the technical side, lights, camera lens, and of course, there's the business side, producing, budgeting, distribution, and marketing. With technology and social media constantly evolving, it is important to stay on top of all of these areas, and through the various guests here on Filmnut, we do our best to help keep you current and offer different perspectives. You can catch seasons 1 through 4 on demand anytime at thestream.tv/Filmnut, and we're also on Twitter at The Filmnut, YouTube at Filmnut Live, and Facebook. When it comes to show business, perhaps like no other field, it requires determination and fortitude, as there's no clear path to success. There are ups, there are downs, to the point where even many of the biggest stars wonder if their next job is going to be their last job. Staying inspired during the down times, being ready for opportunity if and when it presents itself, is as important as anything else we discuss here on Filmnut. It's important for your success, and it's important for keeping your sanity. As always, if you have any questions, ask them in the chat room, and we'll get to some of those during the conversation tonight. Now, let's get to it. My guest tonight, Michael Biehn, combines the steely cool eyes of Clint Eastwood and the bubbling beneath the surface craziness of Jack Nicholson with an intensity that's all his own. From his breakthrough role as Kyle Reese in The Terminator, to Aliens, The Abyss, Tombstone, The Rock, and many more, Biehn has a talent for creating memorable characters that stay with you long after the end credits of the film roll. Set to be awarded a life career kudo by the Academy of Science Fiction tomorrow night, his latest character that will keep you on the edge of your seat is in the grindhouse-style thriller The Victim, in which Biehn stars, writes, and makes his directorial debut. Also joining us tonight and starring and producing in the film is his partner Jennifer Blanc. Some of Jennifer's other credits include Party of Five and Dark Angel. Here they are together, the happy filmmaking couple, Michael Biehn and Jennifer Blanc.
Hey.
Hi.
Print that. Print that, man.
Wonderful.
He did really, really good with that, man. Being alive. Print it. Let's move on.
Thank you. I appreciate
Good job.
That. Oh, thank you both. So it's such a pleasure to have you two be, #1 season 5.
I know. We're very excited to be here.
Victim, great independent film. Congratulations so much. I know you both put so much of yourselves into this film, and to see it now, completed and just getting out there screening, and I've heard the buzz as far as distribution on this film. I'm very excited for you guys for it to come out. Just a quick word of congratulations on that to both of you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
And now another thing I want to get out of the way before we get too into the film stuff is, because I read about it online, and I know you have a lot of fans, I read something about you having a heart situation, and you're going to be going into a procedure.
I've got a heart valve situation that I've known about for about 2 or 3 years, that my cardiologist has been monitoring, and it is going to have to be replaced. I knew it was going to have to be replaced, and we're probably going to have to do it in the next couple of months, depending on my schedule.
Nothing serious though, right?
Well, no, it's nothing serious. It's the same surgery that Barbara Walters, Arnold Schwarzenegger had. I mean, people get it done all the time. They're in the hospital like for 4 days. There's like a 6-week recovery, and then you're as good as new. So it's.
I think you're even like better than new.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, it's really these days when it comes to being sick,
right.
It's really, really minor.
Well, considering I saw The Victim, and I know you guys want to do a sequel to it, he's going to need to be better than me.
He's going to be better than new. We're ready for that sequel.
So no limitations on your acting work. I just want to get out.
No.
Fantastic.
None whatsoever. I just, I heard that it was going to come out on one of these other kind of like sites, that I was going to get this. And so I thought I would just announce it myself, because it's really no big deal. And it just gets done all the time these days,
Absolutely. Well, glad to get that out of the way.
Yeah.
So we're going to show a bit of the trailer in just a moment, but before we do, why don't you set it up for the audience and tell them what The Victim is about?
Go ahead, hon.
The Victim is about a young girl who is a stripper, who gets herself into a lot of trouble with some kind of dirty cops in the woods, and seeks refuge with this loner. And it's a grindhouse-style exploitation movie that's quite witty and a lot of fun. And the story kind of unravels in a way where you don't really know who the victim is.
And who might that young stripper be?
myself.
Very nice.
And Danielle Harris is the other one.
And Danielle Harris is
Danielle
the
Harris
other
came
young
in, and she
stripper.
did a great job for us.
Phenomenal.
She
And,
had a lot of horror movies, Danielle.
Danielle has done a lot of horror movies, and one of the things that Danielle's been friends for a long time, and
dear friend.
we always see her as playing a kind of a younger than herself, and never the beautiful, sexy woman that we know. And so we were lucky to get her on the film, and I was so pleased to have her work on the movie. But
She looks
I think for the
stunning
first
in it.
time you kind of see her as an adult, beautiful woman, as compared to she can still play a teenager. She's still playing teenagers and college kids and stuff like that. But we present her more as a woman, kind of a troubled woman, and really the person that kind of.
And she's really
starts
endearing in it. Really
Well,
endearing.
definitely no problem believing that either one of you ladies are strippers in the movie.
Yes.
both very beautiful. Let's take a look at that trailer, and we'll talk some more when we come out.
Thank you.
Now you're talking about a double homicide.
I read in the paper that the dead girl they found in Flagstaff was strangled.
We're looking for a fugitive.
Let me help you, please! Please! Please let me in!
Tell me who's after you and who killed Mary.
The police.
We bury her. Right here. Right now. Come with me or take your chances in the woods.
Detective James Harrison, may I come inside?
What can I do for you?
She's wanted in connection with a homicide.
You seem nervous. You seem nervous too.
Who's your favorite bitch? You are. Without her body, there is no crime.
I don't even know how I got involved in this situation!
You are crossing a line that you cannot come back from.
This could end up badly.
You are in this neck deep, and you know it! Fuck!
I say we kill the motherfucker.
Nobody's killing anybody.
Again, great job, guys. Very exciting. And with independent
fun to see it.
with all films, it's so important, but even just some of the peripheral things, I thought the score was a great job. The opening title sequence, which is so important, because right away, okay, this is going to be a real movie, very professionally done, very good. And you guys used the red camera. I don't know if you ever worked with that before, but it looked great.
When you're shooting that fast and that quickly, and really at any time, I believe, somebody has to be in charge, and I got to be in charge this time. I mean, I've always, just been an actor before, and I've always considered being an actor as being like an artist's, got a palette and they've got colors, and then they're using different colors to make their painting. And I've always felt like myself as like one of those colors that the artist uses to paint with, And if I'm a yellow, I try to be as bright of a yellow as possible, and I try to take up as much room yellow-wise as possible and show different shades of yellow and so on and so forth as an actor. But as the director, you're the painter. And so, making all the decisions is one in which I was really, really happy to do. And I'm really, really proud of the movie now. And, I didn't know it was going to be as good as it was when we started. We rewrote something that was needed a lot of work, and it
was more of a story.
And and we got it up quick. It's like 3 weeks of pre-production, and bang, straight into 12. Maybe it wasn't even 12 days of shooting,
Just
and we
about,
were
but
done.
right,
And
yeah.
it's really turned out just super for us, and we're really, really happy.
We're
about
very
it.
proud of it. We really are.
That's important, and that means so much. You invest so much of yourself personally, artistically. I want to ask you about your toughest day in a moment, but I want to take your painting metaphor one step further. So you're directing, and you have these ideas of colors, and as you know, as a director, one color might look good on its own, but when you mix and blend, sometimes things go better or worse together. As you got into it, were there any surprises, changes you had to make on the fly in terms of from the writing stage to the actual shooting stage?
Well, they're like changes. Usually they're because of production problems, because of not being able to get a location, or because of not being able to get a lens or a camera, not being able to do those were more the problems that I had. Once I I never had any problems myself.
So just adapting.
I had problems
There
with
were other people running in circles in the background trying to figure it
I had
out.
problems with other people, but I didn't have any problems myself. I have to come clean here too and let you know that I had a Christian Bale moment, like at least probably twice a day on the set.
I was going to say like 40 times a day, but okay.
I mean,
twice a day.
To make a movie that quickly, in 12 days, I was like part drill sergeant, part raving lunatic, and everybody was, I think, so frightened of me that they just thought like, we'd better do what he says, or he's going to pick up an axe and come after us or something,
You know what I think I heard you say one time is you never got angry at people, but at process.
I never got
about
things. I would never call anybody a name. No. I would never say, you're not doing your job. Right. I would never attack anybody personally. Right. But it's like, why can't I get a hammer? How hard is it to get a hammer?
Sound guy,
we're supposed to have a hammer in the scene. Where's my hammer?
Yeah.
Where's my hammer? That kind of type of thing. And when you're
where
running,
is his hammer, guys?
When you're running and gunning, man, and you're supposed to have a hammer and it's not there, you need it.
Now, Jennifer, as a producer on this project, you were mentioning maybe people getting intimidated. Were people kind of coming to you as to be like the go-between?
Oh yeah. Me, Lorna. I mean, there were lots of us that people were coming to in tears, actually. But as Michael is very passionate and very intimidating, but as you get to know him, you get used to it. Right. And then all of a sudden, everybody just kind of starts timing the next one. Like, okay, when is it going to happen? How long is it going to last? And go. And then people, people are laughing about it. But at first, people were in tears because they didn't know, they didn't know what they were dealing with. They didn't know what happened. And then the bottom line is nobody quit, nobody got fired, and everybody was hugging and loving. He just is a paper lion.
By the
He's
way,
a paper lion.
One of the things that we do, and I don't know if I should give it away or not, but if you notice our end sequence, our title sequence. What we did in that title sequence has never been done before.
It's a special thing.
It's a special thing for our crew that has never, I think, ever been done before, and it's not nobody ever mentions it, that it sees the movie that interviews me, and I'm very, very proud of the fact that we did our end sequence like we did, and you know what I'm talking about.
And
so
it's truly an homage to everyone's hard work.
Yes, absolutely. I thought that was nice as I was watching it.
Yeah.
Let's see. The Arnold fans would like to ask. Arnold has certainly been in the news a lot these days. Do you think Arnold can make a big comeback? What are your thoughts for his future career?
I would never count Arnold out.
No, I would never either. I think Arnold's going to be just fine.
Yeah, I would never count him out. He is a resilient, smart, savvy guy, and I would never count him out.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So we were talking about the days. What was your toughest day that you shot in terms of maybe risking going over or not getting what you wanted done, or most challenging scene, whichever you're more comfortable asking?
Really, I think we have some fighting that goes on in the movies. When I made the movie, it was like an exploitation movie, and I decided okay, well, what am I going to write? I have to write this, and I needed to know what I could use to exploit, and so I looked at Jennifer and I said, okay, I've got sex, and maybe if I got one of her friends to maybe Danielle Harris. I've got 2 girls that will do sex for me, And then I thought, well, what else? Dirty cops are always kind of good. What I could do a little bit of torture. I didn't have enough special effects makeup, money for special effects makeup, but I could do like a little bit of torture, and I could do a little bit of action, and I'll throw in a serial killer. That's always good too, So that's kind of where it came from, and was
there a scene in particular that was challenging to shoot?
Yeah. Going back to that was really the action. There's a big fight sequence that takes place in the movie. There's really 2, but one is a major fight sequence. And Ryan, we don't have stunt guys. We don't have stunt doubles, and we had a
stunt coordinator. That's it.
Kind of. He worked with us and helped us a little bit, but we kind of just went for it, and it was very, very, very tiring and debilitating to be directing and doing that fight sequence where basically it's me and Ryan just going at each other, and we did that for all the stuff inside of the house. If you've seen the
Yes,
movie, of course,
yes.
all that stuff is just us fighting, and you can see that we were physically. I lost my voice that day. We were physically.
Everybody was so excited. Sorry.
So it was tough because
Yes.
People love it when I'm yeah, because I'm so tired. I mean, I'm 55 years old, and I'm in there.
54.
I'm in there, and I am like battling away with this, young kid or whatever, and like it was brutal, And I mean, we go at it for like 2-3 minutes, and we're just getting shots, and it's like play fighting, but trying to make it look as real as possible, and picking each other up and throwing each other down, and like.
Yeah,
we seriously almost got hurt, a couple of times. And
how many times did you have to shoot it, and from how many angles did you have to shoot it
We
from?
shot like inside, probably 2 or 3 takes of like 2 and 3 minutes long of just fighting each other.
Right.
Just let's just go at it, and try not to hurt each other, but try to make it look as real as possible.
Now,
And then the outside stuff.
I mean, you can see like where I pick him up and throw him down, and we don't have any pads on either. We have a stunt guy that was there, but we didn't have any pads, and
that doesn't help when you're hitting the ground.
No, there were no
There
pads.
was one outside, and that was it. That was the only pad ever. But you weren't padded up. Like most people, usually their knees are padded. There's
No, we didn't have any pads.
Nothing.
Inside for sure. Once we got outside, it was a little bit more coordinated. But.
Now, a lot of times you'll hear actors talk about it can be awkward to film a sex scene because you're working with someone, stranger, cameras, crews, whatever. You guys obviously are a couple are together. How was that for you guys? It looked really believable.
Well, we were really having sex. We were
There you
just,
go.
doing what we do at home. So, right, honey? No. It was not sexual at all. It was really.
Actually, it was the very first thing that we shot in the movie.
It was.
Okay, so I mean, basically the very first day, the very first shot in the movie, I kind of walked out of the dressing room and walked onto the set, and basically I had a robe on.
Disrobe.
And just took the robe off and said, "Okay,
Comfortable?
Jennifer."
Come on out.
Yeah, come on.
No, but I mean, it was a lot of like technical stuff, like turn this way your breast looks good, this way your stomach looks good, this way, how does my leg look, or we want to get Michael from this angle, we want it to look really passionate here. So it wasn't passionate in the making of it because we were so worried about how it was going to be portrayed. So there was more.
So there's some truth to that technical stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, but
Yeah.
it wasn't awkward or anything, right?
No, it wasn't awkward in the way that, like, because I have done, and so has Michael, those kind of scenes with other people, and sometimes those can be awkward if you haven't gotten to know the person yet.
Well, speaking of, in this movie, in fact, you do have a scene with another gentleman.
Yes, I do.
And your man was directing you in it. Was that weird or
That was
different?
the most brilliant part of the movie.
Yeah.
Because Denny Kirkwood and I have this scene where we're like making out. I'm topless. I'm giving him a blowjob. I mean, just any and everything possible. And Michael's sitting there going, "Get your hand down there, touch him, do it, get it down there, good girl." And it's just like, okay, here we go. And it's all in the making of. So you'll see Michael.
Danny, by the way, is Kirkwood is one of the 2 antagonists,
Right.
and he's kind of like the reluctant antagonist, and he does a
great job.
really good job for us in the movie, and I was really happy with his performance, and I was really happy that he was on the movie. He did a really good job for us, and I also think that Ryan plays a really good bad guy, a really good antagonist, and
They played really well together too.
I think that the movie is. I'm very proud of the acting in it. It's fun. It's a fun movie. I think the thing to remember is that like. This movie, I want people to have fun when they go see the movie. I want them to laugh and have a good time and everything. But
And we're
there's
getting
some
that at some of these screenings, cheering and laughing and
having fun. But it's well acted. I'm proud of all the acting in it. And anyway,
Well, in a movie without a big effects budget,
that's all you got.
That's all you got. So it
It's
better be
got to be
good. Yeah.
performance-based.
You're right.
Well, I see a question I think you're going to like answering based on my research. Senior Shutter would like to ask, Mr. Biehn, what did you learn about directing from working with Robert Rodriguez on Planet Terror?
Well, Senior what?
Shutter.
Senior Shutter. the thing about Robert Rodriguez is he's a very inspiring guy. And if you read his book, Rebel Without a Crew, I mean, really that's how this whole thing came about, was me working with Robert Rodriguez and me talking to Robert about directing, and Robert saying, Michael, just go write something and go shoot it, you know? That's the only way that you're really going to ever get any experience, you know, and not, you know, by asking questions. Just write it and shoot it. And so, you know, I was doing another film, and after I finished that movie, I didn't have anything on my schedule, and I thought about what Robert had said, which is just go write something and shoot it. And I did. And so he really inspired me to make this movie, and he is a good friend, and I had such a joyous time working with Robert. But he really inspired the movie, and hence, you know, we kind of call it a grindhouse movie, although it's not necessarily a grindhouse movie. You know,
In the Bible.
It's low budget, you know, but it's more of a thriller than it is a grindhouse movie.
That's the homage to Robert, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Tightrope would like to ask, let's see, question, what do they think about the remake addiction hitting studio films so hard in the last decade? Is that anything you have an opinion on, either one of you? Money? It's about the money?
Of course.
Yeah, I think it is about the money, but I think that I don't know. I think there's something cool about it. I think it's kind of fun. Like the new "I Spit on Your Grave" is just so good. I think, you know, it's hardcore, but it's so good. You know, and I don't know. I think there's something fun about it. But yeah, sure, money. Sure.
That's a rare example. That "Spit on Your Grave" was very good. You know,
Yes.
I think it's like, you know. I think it's like, you know, basically, they're never as good as the first one. Maybe Aliens, maybe, you know.
Aliens is another.
The Godfather. You can name like 2 or 3 sequels that are as good.
But then the remakes. What about the full-on remakes? Like, if you
Not a sequel, but a remake,
but
right.
Quarantine is actually a remake of a Spanish film called Rec. I don't know if you know that. REC, like record. And we watched Quarantine first, and then we watched the Spanish film later.
Right.
And we're like, oh my God, this is like moment for moment a remake of this film. You know.
Which is kind of like, you know, okay, well, let's just copy their movie and put English titles on it, like, you know, like They Don't Count or something. You know, people don't realize that there are like film communities over in India and film communities over in Hong Kong and stuff that are like just as big as ours and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But anyway, you know, I'm not remaking stuff is doing sequels. I'm not a big fan of. Although we're probably
We're going to do a sequel. So even though he's not a big fan, we're going to do it.
Well, you know,
He's a hypocrite, but you know, whatever.
it's different on the indie level. It's all
I've
good.
already got the sequel planned out.
Oh, it's
you know.
awesome.
You've been a producer 5 minutes and you sold out already, right?
Totally. Keep done. I don't like it. You know what? I'm doing it.
Gotta sell this one first.
But you know what? I tell you, obviously, I don't want to bash studios for it. I mean, there's hundreds of millions of dollars at stake in making the movie and marketing, so they're risk averse by nature. Sure. Remakes, sequels, based on comic books and so forth. But just tying this question back into the Terminator question earlier and the Kyle Reese, you know, question.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, obviously, you know, the director, actor from the question, off the top of my head, I'm missing it now, but they worked together in Fast 5. You know, to go with Paul Walker.
Paul Walker
yeah.
and Vin Diesel?
No. Paul Walker was the one who the questioner asked about playing the new Kyle Reese.
About possibly playing Kyle Reese
in a
number 5.
remake. You know, it's like, I wish they wouldn't have to go with stars, because when Terminator was made, you weren't a star yet. And, you know, and you made that role. I mean, I think it's a huge franchise, big props to Arnold and Linda and James, but your energy drove that, and you weren't a star. So I think it is a shame that they always have to be star driven as well. But
I get
it.
That's what makes stars is putting somebody in there that's going to, you know, create something and get everybody excited about
Absolutely.
that person. So,
Brandon 101 would like to ask, James Cameron decided to remove you from the Avatar film because it might be too much like Aliens. Now that Sigourney Weaver can't be in the sequel, does this mean you're locked into Avatar 2?
No,
Locked?
it doesn't. No.
No.
First of all, he never removed me because he never cast me.
Right.
So basically, I went in and met Jim, and he gave me the script, and I read, and I came in and gave him all my ideas and the character, and he seemed to like those ideas, and he sat with the ideas for a long time, and somehow it got out that he was considering me for that character, and it started came out on AintItCoolNews.com, and I was doing Grindhouse at the time, and doing press on Grindhouse, and they kept asking me about it and asking me about it. Months would go by, months would go by, months would go by, and finally I heard from my son, who went to school with John Landau's son, that he didn't think I was going to get it because I was, because Sigourney was in it now, and because Sigourney was in it, and Jim didn't want that kind of aliens connection,
Right.
And I heard that from John Landau's son. I heard it from my son, who told me John Landau's son told me they went to school together. They were like in 12 or whatever, 15 or whatever. Yeah. And so then another couple months went by, and I found out that I didn't get the role. But from the time that I met Jim until the time that I found out that I didn't get the role, although it was all over the internet that I was playing the role, and they had inside sources saying I was playing the role, was like 10 months, 11 months.
No, he was up for it for a long time.
It was a hard deal.
I saw an interview with James Cameron. He was on a panel at Comic-Con, and Stephen Lang was the one who wound up getting cast in that part, who apparently went up for the same role you did in Aliens.
Interesting.
And he didn't get that, so that's...
Well, one of the things that I've always said about the casting of that movie is that I was, devastated that I didn't get to play the role, but I was really happy that Stephen Lang got to play the role, because I worked with him in Tombstone, and he's a brilliant actor, and he's been around forever, and he really, really is very good, and he finally got his shot, which is at fame, and what comes with that kind of movie, other offers and big movies and money and so on and so forth, and he created the role on Broadway of, you can't handle the truth.
A Few Good Men, Jack Nicholson's role.
That was the Jack Nicholson role. He created that role on Broadway, and they replaced him, of course, with Jack Nicholson, who did it pretty well himself, But he's that kind. He's a great actor, and he was actually he's a very, very good friend and mentor of mine on Tombstone, and I would go to him and bounce ideas off of him a lot, because he was a smart guy, and I respected him a lot as an actor, and I don't do that to very many other actors.
That's very nice of you to say.
Yeah.
Back to The Victim, when you were on the set, were you feeling pressure? I don't want to say that you were feeling pressure, but if you were feeling pressure, was it more as an artist to deliver and come through based on so much of it being you? I mean, you were making all the decisions. Were you feeling pressure budget-wise, technically, or how were you feeling on set? Was that temper, was that snapping that had people intimidated? Was that a result of pressure, or that's just your process and how you work?
It's just passion.
Yeah. It's basically, passion on making sure that something doesn't look stupid. That's really the most important thing. It's like I've always had a good BS meter, and saying, well, wait a second, that cop's wearing their gun on the outside of their uniform, that undercover cop, cops don't do that.
Or
I've lived in LA for
in the
60
front,
years, and that's another one that ggets me. People walking around in handcuffs at police stations, cuffed in front and stuff, and all that kind of stuff I've always had a real eye for. So, what was your question?
Were you feeling pressure on set to deliver creatively, to deliver on time for budget?
Basically, I was just trying to get through it without, looking stupid. The set doesn't look stupid, the shot doesn't look stupid, the acting is real, the words are real.
But I do think your intensity or your passion is creative. That passion that you have, that intensity that comes out, is creative, because I see it not only in our movie, not only when we were doing The Divide, not only, I see it all the time when it comes to work.
Kind of driven to get the project right the way you see it in your head. And it sounds like between the two of you had some relationships with the people that you worked on in the film, people that you knew. It's really important in that instance, when you're a director, not to be intimidated by those relationships and be afraid to direct or be who you need to be. Exactly. Or to be too nice or too friendly. Now I want to ask you what it was like being directed by him, and we're talking about his passion. Let's just say, I would be afraid to stop you from talking and yell cut in the middle of your dialogue, if you know what I'm talking about.
Do you know what you're talking about?
See, so I did watch the extras. So you're a little spitball yourself,
You've
right?
That's always what he says. He's like, you give it back just as good, as I give it. It's basically, yes, you apparently have done your homework and watched the making of, or we have a short version up, which people can go online and see, and there'll be a longer version on the DVD release eventually that's even more intense. But yeah, he has a habit of cutting when he's not liking the way something's going, and I want it to like flow through.
Directors have been known to do that. That's not an unusual thing.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I see what's happening here. There's a gang up starting.
Well, you said that like that was like some bizarre, weird thing.
How dare you cut in the middle of my take?
When you're the director, you don't like what you're hearing.
How dare you?
Well, okay. I'm a bit of a loon myself. I'm turning bright red now. No, I wanted, it was frustrating me. It was frustrating. All I could say was frustrating me. I was in a moment, and whether he liked it or not, I was there. And whether he thought my performance was angry or not, I was in it, and I wanted to flow. And he didn't feel I was flowing, so he wanted to cut, and I just flipped out. There's quite a few. There's some flip outs that they actually cut the camera for that would have been nice if they'd been rolling, because they were even more intense. In the beginning of the making of, you see me kind of hitting the ground. I mean, that was a real intense. I think Denny and Lorna actually even got a pretty big kick out of it, because I would just start going nuts, and I think they enjoyed it. It was like a comic relief.
You guys are like perfectly made for each other, aren't you?
My mom always says, "You're two peas in a pod," and we really are. Aren't we?
We're two something in a pod. I don't know if we're peas, but I hate to.
We were talking about the fight scene with you guys inside the house, but it also extended outside the house, and there was a choke scene that was a little dangerously too close to reality based, correct?
Yeah, that was my fault, and that was basically, I know how to put on an LAPD chokehold. That was something the LAPD used to use to subdue people instead of stun guns they have now and that sort of thing. And under the guidance of Daryl Gates or whatever, who was the police chief at the time, they used to use that, and they started killing people by using that chokehold. And so they abandoned it, but I think they used it for 4, 5, 6 years in LA. It was called the LAPD chokehold, and I know it. I know how to use it. And,
I thought it was called the LAPD hello. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. We love the LAPD.
Yeah, I do love the LAPD. I love all cops, by the way.
Absolutely.
Well, not all cops, but believe me,
The
cops
field, absolutely.
they've got a
Very tough job.
deal to deal with. I respect them a lot. But anyway, I knew how to do that, and I asked him to put it on because I figured that a guy who was a cop would know how to put that chokehold on, because he comes in behind me and he can do anything he wants, and I figured he'd know how to do that. And so I said to him, "Listen, I'll just tap out, if I get into trouble, And so we rolled the cameras, and in the first place, I never thought he was going to be able to choke me out. I don't know why I thought I was so tough.
He's only 6'4",
and he's putting the LAPD chokehold on me. I didn't. I don't know. I just thought I was like Superman. I just, I kind of was thinking it had more to do with the breath and not the blood. That basically, I wasn't thinking. And he choked me out, and I did tap out, but I tapped out like a little bit too late, and I was kind of not completely passed out, but definitely in Neverville, sort of like, whoa, what's going on? I wasn't talking, but I was like, what's going on? Where am I? How come nobody's coming to my assistance?
I think we have that. Is it okay to show it?
Oh, you got that?
Yeah.
You got that here?
Sure,
go ahead, man.
Okay, so we'll take a look at that clip.
It's hard for me to watch.
Yeah, it is. It's disturbing, but
check it out.
It's real. It's something you guys should not do at home.
Yeah, don't.
Let's go ahead and take a look at that.
You okay?
Okay, guys, sorry.
Got it?
Not going to happen again.
Yeah, it didn't sound like the crew knew what condition you were in and whether they should cut or not?
No. Because he.
By the way, he doesn't growl like that anymore.
Oh, okay, that sound, yes.
Yeah, him growling,
Yeah.
that's not like that in the movie anymore.
Yeah, Michael took that. He just wants everyone to know there's no growling. There's no bear growling. No, but I was off to the side too. My mom and I were sitting off to the side, and I didn't know if he was just making some brilliant character choice or what was going on. And because he's so interesting to watch, it could have been that was happening. And then it got clear what was going on, and it was scary.
And then, I immediately came back and was like, oh, wow, okay, that happened, all right, let's go, we gotta move. And literally 5 minutes later, we were shooting again. And that happens to these guys who are in this what do they call the fighting now that they do?
MMA?
Yeah. I mean, that happens, and they get choked out all the time. That happens to people all the time, So it's like not that really big of a deal. No, and I wouldn't suggest it, but it did happen. I didn't expect it. I thought I was tough.
Right.
I thought I was like Superman, I put the Lapd Chokehold on me, which they banned because it's killing people. And I'll just tap
Sure, I'll do it.
And I didn't even think I was going to tap out. For some reason, I just thought, I'd end up yelling, cut, and I'm an idiot. What can I tell you, Just a complete
We can
idiot,
admit it.
A lot of actors do that. Actors have to be just, any doubt whatsoever, safety always
Always
first.
with weapons
With
and all that
weapons, with
kind of
all that
stuff,
sort of thing. Everyone in the crew has to be informed of what's going on, when things are safe, when things are in doubt, because you're right. I mean, it doesn't have to be dangerous, but it can be, obviously. And of course, as you said, it's not worth it.
Not worth it for that.
No. It's not
You taught me that, actually.
No,
You
it's
taught
not
me
worth
that.
it for anybody to get hurt.
No, absolutely.
Whether it's even a slap or a hit or anything like that. I've heard, I've had actors say, go ahead, hit me, slap me. No, dude, I don't go there. Homie, don't play that.
Homie, don't play that. A little in living color reference. Dark Horse 7 would like to. No, that was a great show. Dark Horse 7 with CGI and special effects. Do you think Hollywood pays enough attention to the acting and writing? Another kind of Hollywood studio type of question.
Yeah, I think they try to pay attention to it. The what in the writing?
The acting and the writing.
I think they
Depends
try
on the film,
to.
I
I mean, like what you're seeing. If you want to go see an action movie, go see an action movie, and you're not going to get probably that. It's what sells. That's what people. That's what makes the market what it is what sells. I just saw Fab Five, right? I took my son to see it, who was 9, and I wanted to see if he was. No, he's 8. I'm sorry, he's 8. I took my son to see it. And,
He's got a few.
And he just turned 8, really, but he, and I wanted to see, if it would hold his attention, And he watched it and he liked it and stuff, It was, an action movie, and it bored me to tears, okay?
I was going to say, he came back.
It bored me to tears, but it made $100 million, and it's for opening weekend. So who am I? I'm this idiot going this is really boring, I'm like the old man who goes, when I was a kid, we used to do it like this, and this is the way that, and that's what I feel like as my grandfather now, When I was a kid, we used to make movies the old-fashioned way,
Hey, for 54, you still do it pretty good, right? That's a line in the movie, right? You know what I'm talking about.
I say, you look really good for 54. And then I say it again later.
Right, he does something else well
He
for
does
54.
something else well for 54.
For 54.
Spoiler.
Yeah, no, it's again, it's a business. Studios are in business to make money.
And listen, my opinion about action movies has got no bearing on anything. When a movie like Fab Five opens to $100 million, it is a huge success for everybody involved, and I praise that. When I say hey, gee, this isn't my cup of tea, that means absolutely nothing. These guys are successful beyond their wildest dreams.
But
for what they wanted to do.
It's not so much how much money it makes the first weekend, it's how much money it makes the second and the third.
That's true.
Because marketing and promotion can get you that that opening weekend numbers. It doesn't mean your movie's good or bad.
Fab Five, I'm telling you.
It's the second weekend money.
Fab Five.
It's the word of mouth that tells you if the
Right,
public
when
is
the word of
enjoying
mouth
it.
starts, and
you see what
that's
direction it
Believe
tracks.
me, there's going to be a Fab Six.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Believe
Oh, yeah, I
me.
wasn't commenting specifically on that, just on the idea of the numbers, the money alone. You
No,
know?
I think there's definitely something to what you're saying, for sure.
Indie Clown 3 would like to ask, what was the biggest drawback of working on a film like The Victim with such a small budget? You're used to working on bigger budget type affair, right?
Yeah. Time, man.
Yeah.
You just don't have time. You
So
know,
you said
it's like
was 12 days,
if you think of yourself as a construction worker and you've got $100,000 and 6 months to build a house, you know, that house is going to look a certain way. Now, if you've got $10,000 and 6 days to build that house, it ain't going to be the same house as the other one, and that's you know.
But we
it's-
came pretty close for what we did.
We kept it low. We kept a small amount of locations, a small amount of actors, and we only shot what we needed to shoot. And you know, we succeeded. I'm not sure that we could do it again. I think we got lucky, man. I really do. I think we got lucky.
We could do it again.
Real quick, I want to get out a couple of quick things.
Yes.
What is the website for people to find more information out on The Victim?
You would go to www. I'm not a computer person, so www.grindhousethevictim.com, and you'll get all kinds of information. We have an upcoming screening on August 6th at Lemley Sunset 5, and go to the website and you'll see that, and all kinds of press and reviews. And can I do a plug quickly?
Real quick?
Okay. We also are supporting in a film that's coming out September 23rd in movie theaters called Puncture, starring Chris Evans.
Awesome. And the one-word answer, or maybe two-word answer we like to get people out of here on is, do you guys have a favorite set speak term? Like back to one, or martini shot, or checking the gate?
Shut the F up.
Okay.
Martini!
Is that yours, Martini?
Yeah.
Okay, shut the F up and Martini. Well, Michael Biehn, Jennifer Blanc, it's been great
Copy
having
that.
you both as my first guest for season 5. Thank you so much for coming in tonight.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
That is going to do it for this edition of Filmnut. Once again, thanks so much to Michael Biehn and Jennifer Blanc. We will see you next time on Filmnut.